try as much as possible to bring all of these trending issues to your doorstep. And this morning, we have yet another trending issue. And of course, it is an issue that concerns you and I. And of course, an issue that, if mooted, an issue that, if carefully implemented, will actually turn the fortunes of the country around. And this time around, it is going to be economic issue. And of course, it will all centered around the issue of tax collection in this country. You will agree with me that the issue of tax in Nigeria has remained a recurring decimal, owing to the fact that the federal government has been lamenting that it has not been able to generate the requisite funding it requires to actually finance its annual budget. This has also been the lamentation of sitting governors, who have always lamented continuously that the revenue being generated as part of our internally generated revenue is miserably inadequate to actually cater for the competing demands before government at all levels. And this morning, we shall be looking at all of this issue, and I have with me a private tax analyst and a businessman, and of course the national coordinator, the Association of Concerned Citizens of Nigeria on Revenue and Economy. He is an expert in this area and have seen it all as far as the issue of tax collection in Nigeria is concerned. And of course, his association and people of his like mind have looked at the situation of Nigeria and felt that Nigeria need not to borrow. Nigeria can raise the requisite funding through tax in Nigeria and of course beyond, and should be able to take care of all its financial needs without actually going to borrow sporadically as the government is doing at the moment. Permit me to introduce Mr. Oji Philip Oji. Like I said, he's a private tax analyst and a businessman. He's the national coordinator, Association of Concerned Citizens of Nigeria on Revenue and Economy. Mr. Oji, you are welcome to the program Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yes. Like I said, the issue of tax has remained a recurring decimal. It has become a thing of concern to successive government in Nigeria, including major stakeholders in the country. And not just Nigeria, but so many third world nations have grappled with the issue of tax collection. To a layman, to what extent do you think that tax can turn the fortunes of your country around?
Thank you very much again, Doctor. Good morning, Nigerians. I am glad to be a Nigerian. I continue to be a Nigerian because we have all it takes to be better than any other part of the countries in Africa. One is that we are too big to complain feeding ourselves. We could feed ourselves and equally help Africans because we have all it takes and the potentiality to do this without hitches, not through any other means. It is going to be through taxation. So that is what I'm assuring Nigerians, that if what I and my group is advocating for is being implemented, that there's no reason to talk about borrowing, because we'll be having enough to even save our GDP as our reserve.
Okay, thank you so much. Now you have your association, the Association of Concerned Citizens of Nigeria on Revenue and Economy, have just come up with an idea of establishing the office of the National Inspector General for Tax Crime Commission. And this is a whole new idea and a whole new approach. Can you shed more light on this particular lofty idea of yours?
Yes, thank you very much. I am a tax analyst, private tax analyst, and I'm a businessman. So because of being a businessman, I've gone around several countries, not just in Africa. I think I've been established business in up to 3 African countries. I have a business in Togo, I have a business in Equatorial Guinea, and I established business in Cameroon. So the other places I can go and come back, but these are places I can be able to tell you how warehouses. Then meanwhile, I talk about the Western world. I've been to places, but let me say where I am when this idea came upon me, because I believe God sent me to do this, and I will do it to my best capacity, right? Because when I got this idea, I was in Singapore as an exporter from that country. They have free zone export in their place. They do nothing else than tax. They have no other source of survival than tax. When I got there, within that 3 years that I was there, settling my view between African countries like Togo, Equatorial Guinea, and the rest, I find out that these people, their method of taxation was so beautiful. Even though it didn't come to me that I will come up with this coming to Nigeria to tell us to do it, but at this stage I started saying, why are they doing so well? So at a particular time, I consult one of my friends who are even in government. But I was surprised that they disappointed me by laughing at me, saying that, well, our people will not take it. That do I know that some people are benefiting from what I was trying to go and block, that I should forget it. I actually did not go ahead that time because of they really did kind of discourage me. But when I came back after a year or so, I decided, let me start writing something. Let me see if I can develop. Now I went into research, kind of checking other countries, not just the Singapore or so that is how I started developing it, which is not just simple. You have to go a lot of research. Like we are talking now, this is 4 years. I mean with my group, not when I started developing it, but 4 good years pursuing it. That tells you the type of thing we're asking for. Anything that concerns economy, finance, you can't just get up and start doing it. You need to go and check what other people are doing. So which I in the course of this discussion you will hear more. But let me tell you that the idea came upon me when I came back. I started looking at how to get it across to youths who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow of this country. And then I remember that I have some privilege when I started my life was in the north here. I started in the north here in Kotongora, in Niger State here, and it was Gidan Bello, the Sani Bello family in Kotongora. I stayed, I can be able to hear us. That gave me advantage that I can pass the message easily, and I know not very well I can go around. And I'm an Igbo man. I know I can pass it to my people, and I just see myself that I have the advantage to pass it in about three languages, and plus the English language. That means I can speak the pidgin English, we call it local English, and I will speak Igbo language, I will speak Hausa language. I can tell you this bill, tell you what I mean, tell you the game, tell you where it's been done, even not just in foreign countries, but in Africa. I mean, sorry, yeah, in Africa. So it's not a thing we say, we're trying to do something else. No, we are trying to do what other people are doing.
Now, if you keep talking about tax, a lot of Nigerians have developed serious apprehensions about the issue of this tax, especially the poor, who feel that more money is just, tax squeeze more money out from the poor, and probably the rich is enriched through tax collection. To what extent do you think the interests of the poor can be protected under this lofty idea?
Thank you very much. Like I said, see, doctor, whenever they say people, when we talk about this, that is why we went into sensitization. People were so much afraid that there is Federal Revenue Service and Chief Oji Philip is talking about tax again, which means double taxation will come on. No. First of all, let me say it in a way they will understand it. We are coming to make tax cheap. The best tax in the world is making tax cheap. It will even make tax to mean the revenue to grow. You don't make tax expensive. The best tax in the world is cheap. That is first thing. So we are coming to monitor why taxpayers are crying, because one of our best objectives, that is what our target is, to come up and make sure that the poor stop crying. People are being double taxed, and particularly the people that are paying this double tax is the poor, and they have no capacity to go to court. They will simply pay with fear and go away, paying 10 times of what they should have paid once. And because they are afraid, they don't even have their right. Nobody protect them, right? So we are coming, and there's something we call ombudsman. In the course of discussion, you will hear it. Ombudsman is one of the departments we have in what I was targeting that God will help us to create. That ombudsman stand as a customer's care, who will take care of all those things that would have gone to court, because Only the rich can challenge their matter in the court. So it was only through us that the poor man can have his way to discuss his matter. You don't just come and ask somebody tax. You have to explain to the person. That is why I call it tax transparency. Tax transparency is a human right tax that makes him to belong to his money. You can't be paying you in dark. The person should own the money by knowing what you are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you so much. Somewhere along the line, you have once boasted that, if you will excuse me to put it that way,
Right.
that the country is capable of generating 20 trillion in a season. And you will agree with me that over the years, the country have not been able to finance its budget without actually borrowing. To what extent do you think 20 trillion can be generated through tax?
Welcome, sir. I am not exaggerating because I know where the money comes from. Most of this money will come from overseas. Transfer pricing will bring half of that money. 10 trillion will come from transfer pricing. And transfer pricing is what Americans are focusing on more than the domestic collection of tax. You know why? The multinationals that this transfer pricing concerns so much may not really want to cheat us. But we have no mechanism to collect such tax. You see, so when you don't have, okay, let us go back to the past. General Ibrahim Babangida was the only person who visited tax in more efficient manner. When I was younger, I used to see people being disturbed in our highways. They will ask you to bring one paper, that blue, yellow, green, for years. They will know it by the color. Before Babangida came up in 1992 and stopped that embarrassment. The world is about innovation. What people do, what are they doing to make it easy? Remember that time when they ask you, they will come bring you down, maybe put you in their vehicle or keep you at the side of the road, you suffer, and maybe but let me tell you, people evade tax in that method of taxation. How do they evade tax? You will answer my name, and there was no photo in that particular paper. So when you think you are doing it to be too hard, you mainly will not collect anything because people will devise another means to evade tax.
Exactly.
So now when Babangida come with it, that is why I always call his name wherever I go. He came and form a committee headed by Professor Manuel Edozien. They went into harmonizing tax and bringing with ideas, because the one that Alhaji Shehu Musa did in 1978, sorry to take you back, during Olusegun Obasanjo's rule, was actually a force that did not have a good background. What they call it, withholding tax, which is what we are still operating today. Withholding tax and excess profit of bank, maybe 20%, 10% excess profit. The companies and corporate property tax of about 22% of tax is not organized. But the one Babangida did on 1992 was a very good one. That thing have to do with spraying tax across state and the local government. You now shut down this touching you at a bar on a shop and show me your paper. It doesn't happen again. Now, that is the same year he will still go back. That's why I always said, this is somebody who planted a tree. Our leaders refuse to water it. I will still go to that. Now, when he now come up with that, to be able to complement what he have created, he have created Federal Land Revenue from Federal Bureau of Internal Revenue to Federal Land Revenue, which brought about spraying tax across the state and local government. But he still come up again with VAT. So that this is the shorter road to ask people tax without complaint. Because tax is something that if you don't do it well, you always have people complaining, or either they behave like answers, which will cause trouble. Like the 1929 of Formula Rason Kuti. Tax is that people paying is the owner. So if you don't tell them what you are doing, you are in fact, most of the trouble you see in the country now is caused because of tax. But people may not be able to call it tax; they will call it another name. But the name is tax, because there was no fund. People start fighting. So now the man brought VAT, and the person whom he called to do that VAT was Dr. Sylvester Ugo. I'm happy if His Excellency is listening this morning. He will approve whatever thing I will tell you this morning. I'll be telling people are verifiable. I have never said what I don't know about. So the VAT you see today that people go and buy something, you pay VAT. Nobody's complaining again. The woman that said that they will not pay tax, they now pay tax more than they made. You should treat somebody the way he will belong to your idea or belong to your policies. Anything enforcement in tax is expensive, while voluntary compliance is cheap. And voluntary compliance will always make a big flow. It might be 10 kobo, but the truth is that people will pay without being asked. And you will see that the flow will give you more money than giving somebody a pressure to pay you a big tax, which you will end up going to discuss with somebody collecting it, which will either bring fraud or corruption. Yeah, exactly. So why would you be telling somebody to go and pay exorbitantly, which you may end up being, instead of collecting from 1 million people, you now collect from 10 persons, and you give them the pressure that they cannot be able to carry. They will go to discuss it, and the government will virtually lose.
Exactly. Now let me talk us a little bit backward again, because you have just defended the underprivileged now in terms of tax collection, yes. And I'm sure people's mind will be at rest.
Yes.
That this new commission is not about subjugating the underprivileged. You have just talked about transfer mechanism, where the bulk of the tax is likely to come. Yeah. To what extent do you think Nigeria has been shortchanged by all these multinational corporations in terms of this transfer mechanism?
Thank you very much. You see that place? Whenever I remember it, I become comfortable because I know it's going to happen. Look, if you look at people like Kenya, like Zambia, Uganda, Ghana, even people from Guinea Republic, they have joined the OECD method of taxation. You can't survive with domestic taxation. And my brother, Mr. Nami, the chairman of Federal Land Revenue Service, have already always, his actions always point at what I'm saying. He went and formed 35 auditing units, almost each state have it, so that he monitor transfer pricing. He knew that there was money there, but he cannot do it in an isolation. You must go to the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They are the controller, the world international controller of international tax evasion, illicit financial flow, and the rest of them are there. One is that, you see, illicit financial flow, all this cyber crime and some other things,
safe havens,
whatever thing you see there, and tax evasion are wearing one cloth, one shoe, one cap, everything they wear, they enter one vehicle. So the only way to get them is not EFCC. No, EFCC was only there. Most of their work is to catch who commit offense. But if we come on board, the dictator of the United States controls what will make it not to happen. The Inspector General of Taxation of Australia control what will make it not to happen. The House of Treasury Committee of the United Kingdom control what will make it not to happen. So you don't fight corruption by waiting somebody to commit crime. No. The cheaper road is to make a mechanism that will stop it. Let me go back to your question about transfer pricing. You cannot tax the multinationals internationally because we have no database. When Kemi and there also, Madam, our finance minister, former finance minister, and the follower. And I'm happy that wherever they are listening, or somebody take this news today, they will say, I said the truth. They went, they said, oh, welcome. We have been waiting for Nigeria to come because, let me tell you, the world know that Nigeria is the Africa we're talking about here. But they were surprised that sometimes we became too weak to act fast. Apart from this Babangida. Since 1999 to the date, our legislators, I will not, it's not an insult, it's not a hate speech. They have not done anything in tax. And I'm surprised where they are trying to target our survival from. Now, the transfer pricing I told you about, during the period of the time they thought we were enjoying during whatever, Jonathan.
The oil boom period.
Yeah. So, was that supposed to be what we'll be targeting? The thing you are not saying, that have too many grammar that can shut it down. If you say it is fine today, they may tell you there's a trouble in the Niger Delta and the number of the barrels that will come will be small. And if you say the production was high, they will tell you that there was a low price in the oil market international. So is that what you have to go and put your benchmark and believe in what you're not seeing and what is capable of going down and coming up every minute? The best and the only way the whole world is surviving is from tax. I'm not making it costly. I hate that name, costly. Now, the people, I am telling you, the multinationals who may be listening, who will hear this, which I'm going on to tell people, they are not saying they will not pay. We have no mechanism to collect such tax because it's going to come internationally. It is done by, they call it automatic information sharing of OECD. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development told Mr. Fowler and the finance minister, go home. Go and restructure your domestic taxation so that it will suit the best practices of taxation. What do they mean? The collector should be there, and there will be external independent auditors and investigators to monitor the activities and their operations. When they came back, I don't know whatever happened. They throw that file away. I'm telling you, and I don't want Nigerians to start fighting themselves. They should tell our government to sit up. What are they waiting for? What is their fear? The international money that will come from transfer pricing is over 10 trillion naira a year, and somebody is talking about us going to borrow from who? Borrow from who you are modern. So the domestic tax you are talking about, the federal revenue is not covering up to more than 40% if it's up to. How will you survive?
Roughly about 1.2 to 1.5 trillion annually. Which
is it VAT?
From total revenue?
No, just about, they are covering at just about 4 to 5 trillion naira. I know that one.
Okay.
But the VAT, you see, they are fighting, I was laughing, but just about 1.4. It makes me laugh. So what does that really mean? You are fighting because there was not. It's just like your children up to 10, and they saw that the rice on the tray pan was too small. They fight over it, and some of the rice will throw away. Like we can claim that they are going to own the tax. I'm going to say too many things at a time. That thing you see, there was caught because of no money in the system. When there was oil boom, why did they suddenly wake up and started claiming the VAT of their state? It's very little money. What is 1 point something trillion in Nigeria matter? The time of former, before our Oga come in, President Muhammad Buhari came in, unfortunately to him, the oil was bad. The price of oil was bad, right? Yeah, so people were thinking that government did well. They didn't do any well in tax at all. But they're getting up to 3 point something trillion. The value of dollar at that time, because I'm an importer, is about 130 naira per dollar. Are you going to quantify it by somebody saying I got 4 point something or 5 trillion? The person is just a matter of laughing at the person, because the person is telling the person who don't know about tax. You should translate to dollar. We buy our items with dollar, and they are talking about 5 trillion. Let me tell you, the 3 trillion that time is about 10 trillion naira. That's the value, because that is the meaning of the dollar. Now you now collect about 4 trillion to 5 trillion. You're saying you are doing pretty well. You do. You should give us up to 15 trillion. That is the value of the 500 naira per dollar now. What do you mean by telling us about something? I'm not indicting federal revenue. I'm saying that the mechanism to collect this tax, one, let it flow, let it be cheap, so that both the person paying will not cry, and the person will have no reason to go beg anybody for any. Let me tell you, people pay bribe to what would have simply paid as tax. It's not going to be a good language to those who are cheating us. But let me tell you the truth. The poor are being muzzled, particularly the civil servants. The civil servant went, and his own was the cheapest to collect. They simply remove it in salary without even telling him. Do you know the implication of that? Now somebody pays such tax and now went to the market. The place Dangote buy goods to eat or whatever consumption we make in the VAT, and you pay the same place every of the workers buy their market. Ojuzokalo, Atoeze, Otodola, whatever name they call it.
We all go to the same market.
The same market. We have no separate market for the poor, or maybe for the civil servants. Because in overseas, where they can be able to monitor the inequality, there are spaces they made. If you come with a card before you go to that warehouse to buy, we don't have it here. So why would somebody be deducting his tax, even though they are not even well paid? Number one, and they are not paid properly. They will still go to the market to buy, and VAT will be paid. VAT is a good thing, but I'm talking about inequality here. The poor is suffering. Let me tell you how the foreigners, or we call it the Western world, are enjoying in their places. That the surplus that will come from the rich and the multinationals who pay tax will even make you to pay those who are yet to be employed tax. Salary. How do you do this? I'll still do that. I'll continue to do it. I'll go to Ayuba again for the third time. I'm surprised that he has not reacted to my letters. He's not going to block government by telling them you're going to go on strike. No, that's not the management. That is a cake and awkward method of asking for your right. Come for tax transparency. You should join me with the group of NLC. They are the first people to open up and say, yes, you are saying the truth, sir. Why would you be the one paying properly? They are the only people paying properly because their tax is being deducted from their salary. And they will go and buy and VAT will be paid, which is okay, no problem. But why is it that you cannot? Their salary, when they ask you to add, you cry and say you have no money. You don't pay them promptly. You are even threatening to sack some of them. So the head of that place, Ayuba Wahab, I'll continue to call his name until he come out from wherever he is. I'm no longer happy with him. I don't care who say I am saying against him, but I know Ayuba Wahab may have heard me because I have press conference in Abuja. I call his name. Going to block government to stop them work, and it's people who say you are trying. It's not true. Even let me tell him what he should know from today. People say they are being settled. Is he now going to behave towards what perceptions are? Is he really being settled? Which I know it may not be true, but his actions may be pointing at that. Somebody you are working for, go for their welfare by making tax transparent. So there will be enough money. If they need increment, it could be done, or either they will be paying them promptly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let's come back to the bill proper now. The National Inspector General for Tax Crime Commission is a bill that is before the National Assembly.
Yeah.
What is the structure of that commission?
First of all, that bill have passed first reading in 20th December 2019. Good. Now 220, this pandemic did not allow us to do anything. Actually, we were touching it, but there was no ground. So this year again, see where we are, and I'm shouting. And the election year is near. That first reading supposed to be in a public hearing, but be it as it may, I'm not complaining because it gives us more room to tell people what we are saying, and people getting used to what we are saying. And the bill have gathered momentum in the National Assembly. This bill, you see, if the agency come to be, which I know God of the poor and the yet unborn children will help us, that President Muhammad Buhari will listen to the poor. He says he come to protect. The president says he's come to protecting the poor Nigerians, and let me tell him and Osibajo to sign this bill. That's another thing I'm worried about. I'm surprised that the information minister is yet to tell him. But if it were hate speech, he would have spoken the next minute I finished talking. I don't like it. Are they promoting the people who is causing trouble by answering them in the next 5 minutes? But Philip Potter had been shouting. I did not hear from Adesina. I didn't hear from Garba Shehu. I didn't hear from Alhaji Mohammed. It's not what Nigerians should ask them. Do they love hate speech than somebody talking about progress here? People are crying, and let me tell you, they even claim I have been going around. I told you I know languages I can speak. I've gone around the whole geopolitical zone. All of them agree that Buhari is a good man. Let me tell you the truth. They're only saying that the cabals. Who is the cabal that will stop people from belonging to their money is what I want to know. Who is that person? The President Muhammad Buhari should hear it this morning, and I will go to Hausa language and speak it. I will go to Katsina and say it. Let him know that he should sign this bill because the poor are crying. And whenever you tell them to be happy that he's coming, they will tell you, say no, that he will never do it. Let me go to what you asked me. There's mechanism to make this thing is up to 6 departments, sir. What do we want to do? We have the head called Inspector General of Taxation. We have the principal deputy of the head. We have the Inspector General, Deputy Inspector General for Audit, Deputy Inspector General for Investigation, Deputy Inspector General for Inspection and Evaluation, Deputy Inspector General for Firearm Support. They are like police in us, if God help. The Chief Counsel, and now the Ombudsman Department. Ombudsman Department stands like the helper of the poor, trying to know where their rights are being infringed. It's their job to go around and know. And if it's sensitize people, tell them what we are doing. Visit our kings, visit our clergies, make programs. Try to bring even the students close because they are the ones suffering this. You cannot give them incentives that they need in the school to study to go through their education. There are so many things that people should be getting from government. Not just that the government is wicked, they don't have the capacity to give those things to the citizens. Where do this money come from? From tax. So if you have a weak taxation system, it's against everybody. I think you are getting me, doctor.
Yes.
So automatically, if the tax is bad, let me tell you, the person that suffer it most is the workers, I mean the civil servants, and the poor. So these people should come in. That's what area I'm trying to say. So we have the mechanism, 6 departments, plus the principal officer, 2 of them, the deputy and the inspector general of taxation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Oji Philip Oji. Listeners, I'm sure you've heard from Mr. Oji Philip Oji. He's a private tax analyst and a businessman. He's also the national coordinator, the Association of Concerned Citizens of Nigeria on Revenue and Economy. And of course, he also mooted the idea of sponsoring the bill on the National Inspector General for Tax Crime Commission, which is going to be a body that is responsible for the improvement in tax collection. He has said a lot of things on ways in which to improve our revenue drive. But one other knotty issue, Mr. Oji, is wouldn't there be some kind of a friction between this commission when it comes into operation and the Federal Inland Revenue Services?
Not at all. Why should? The Americans copied the United Kingdom 1862 income tax. That is how America started tax on their entire life after their Civil War. 1862. The world is about emulation. What people do, what are they doing that they are doing well than you? You will go to them to borrow from them. If the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, I'm using the United States because it's likely we're going to use them. They have multiple tribes and races, and we have multiple tribes too. So why shouldn't we copy them? With 36 states, there are 56 states. Let me tell you, that people you see there, they jailed somebody in 1947. Joseph Dunan was jailed for tax offense. He was the head he was heading the IRS then. There was an offense because they have inspectors, I mean CID of the IRS. They have inspection service of the IRS. The man fell into the trap, even though he was the head. He was jailed. But when you then after Joseph Dunan, the senators and the rep members were surprised that nobody was indicted again. People now got to know that they have the right to tell the department to stop an investigation as the head of the IRS. This is where the idea of bringing an external auditor and investigators in 1998. You see, people will always say no because maybe whatever their interest is, I don't know. But I'm telling you that there is a stage you will cheat people and they will stop. So the Inspector General of Taxation of Nigeria is not to be different. It is there in Uganda. It is there in Kenya. Even Kenya has School of Tax Crime Commission. School. An Institute of Tax Crime Commission is built in Kenya. So our case is ripe, overripe, to implement what others are doing. We are borrowing to fund our budget. It's not enough reason to follow what other people are doing.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Oji Philip Oji. Listeners, you can also be part of this conversation through the number 09038-808883, or you can join us on our Facebook page on Prestige FM Mina to send in your text messages. Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir.